What's something someone did that instantly made you lose your crush on them? Hey, lemme show you this song I think you'll like. Me. Goes to pull out headphones. Plays entirety of song on speaker at a loud volume while we are on a public bus. First text conversation was full of I'm so random humor. It went sorta like this. Her. Hey me. Hey, what's up? Her. I'm just eating juicy bread with my friend. Me. What is juicy bread? Her. Yeah, it's this type of bread you eat behind a dumpster in the apocalypse. Me. I see. Her. But you have to eat it before the cowboy rides up on his unicorn. I think I broke my teeth from clenching my jaw on that one. We finally went out on a date and I spent most of the time at the restaurant by myself while he stayed in the bathroom feeling like it because unbeknownst to me at the time, he was having withdrawals from Oxy. I guess someone brought him some or something because he came back after a long time feeling great. He invited me back to his place and stupid me agreed. After a failure of a date, he attempted to make out with me and climbed on top of me. I was so not into it and started telling him no and push him off, but he fought me and kept angrily telling me, come on, I've been waiting for this. Eventually, I started shouting no even louder and he gave up and let me go. He was pissed and I grabbed my it and left. Dude said something like, I can't be just friends with girls. They all have crushes on me. Stopped crushing on him out of spite. My crush knew I was attracted to her, but she made fun of my little sister, different last name, in front of me and then looked to me in approval. He asked if my family had looked into essential oils and vitamins to cure my dad's stage IV cancer. There was this woman I thought I got along with really well. One day she gives me her number and asks me out that weekend. I call her later and she doesn't answer the phone or text but sees me a couple days later and says she doesn't check her phone much. I confirm we still have plans and she says yes. That day I show up to meet her. She doesn't show. I call and she doesn't answer. I see her the next day and she apologizes and makes plans again a few days later. I call again before we're supposed to meet up, but this time from my other phone, which was a number she didn't know. She answers. I say who it is and she hangs up on me. She spoke badly of someone because she saw them with crutches after spraining their ankle falling on a trampoline, claiming that they just wanted attention. I have scars on my legs from an autoimmune disease. My crush saw them on the first hot day of the year. He had transferred in the fall, and he, literally, leapt 4 seats back from me in disgust. All feelings gone. Never spoke to him again. One day we were at a party just sitting there with a large group of people. He points to another group nearby and makes fun of them. Why? Because they were in line to get some food. WTF is wrong with wanting to eat? Whenever he talked to me it was only about himself and how great he is. Better than any other boys. He's different from other boys. I used to get chased around and kissed when caught in kindergarten. One day, my face got crushed into the asphalt and I had scabs all over my forehead. The next day, the girl pointed at my face and said, "Ewa, what's that on your face? I don't have a crush on you anymore." She was crazy. Girls were icky. I've never been happier to have a bloody face. She liked to talk about herself. I am more of a listener, so it was fine. During one such self-praise session at our date she was like, I don't know why but everyone just keeps ending up having a crush on me. Some even think they're in love. I thought to myself, can I listen to nonsense like this all my life? Voice inside my head said, you don't even tolerate it, that's half as crazy from your family. Are you really asking the question? Edit. Spelling. He'd insult things I liked and tell me how much better his opinion was. Constantly. I was in year 3. He was in year 6. He said a bad word and 7-year-old me never forgave him. My crush disappeared instantly. For your information, the word was crap. When they're a self-proclaimed arsehole and they have to prove how much of an arsehole they are. She said vaccines cause autism. She had her dog put down before leaving for college because she didn't believe anybody would take as good of care of him as she did. It was an English sheepdog. She didn't see the irony in what she did. Of course, it was probably hard for her to understand me as I was pretty much screaming in her face. Checked his social media and he had an album specifically meant for posting photos of hot bikini models. which was just weird. Then I started reading his bio and comments and other stuff, and the way he wrote online came off like a 12-year-old boy, and he used a lot of emoticons. Instantly killed it, and I didn't see him the same way after that. She had been searching for a job for over 2 months while I helped support them. Then she turned down a job offer because she felt her interviewer was rude to her because she was late to the interview. She was super serious about astrology, so did what every horoscope told her, and it was mind-numbing. We went to college in a Bible Belt town. There was a student group called Christ Ambassadors whose members wore matching shirts on Wednesdays. They'd hand out mini Bibles and tell you you're going to hell. He was beautiful. But one Wednesday, he walked into class wearing a goddamn Christ Ambassador t-shirt and my heart broke. Neat story. A friend of mine ended up marrying him and he beat the it out of her. So that also helped to quell the crush. She got out and is safe now. BTW. Started arguing in favor of FGM. I mean, wow, was that a fast crush kill? Spoke in needlessly graphic terms about having sex with his girlfriend. It was just an 18-year high on first time sex bragging. So I hope he doesn't do it anymore. But it was an instant crush killer regardless. Anyway, that was shortly after he moved to Scotland. He turned into kind of a prick there, TBH. Had a pretty solid crush on a co-worker at a grocery store. She even had a friend ask if I was single, so I asked her out for dinner. She said yes and I was stoked. Then she wasn't at work for a week. Whatever. Figured it was a vacation or something. Turns out she got suspended for calling a co-worker a dirty Mexican. That made me lose interest pretty fast. When you treat animals or people like complete idiots over in my book. Huge crushing on this one girl in my college English class. She was a bit religious but whatever, didn't talk about it too much. We talked all the time. Did a few projects together. Found out she wasn't dating this one guy anymore. Looked up her Facebook. Found her post about using pig fat covered bullets to shoot Muslims in Iraq and post about how school shootings are because we don't allow God in schools. Few more scrolls got to some homophobic stuff. Major turn off and disappointment. She said she had a boyfriend. Crush lost instantly. I ain't ducking with their relationship. Let them be happy and cut your losses, fellas. Say she wanted to have anal sex. I was totally down until she said she wanted to poop while doing it and have it squeeze around my cock. Nope, the duck out. I met a girl and crushed hard on her and eventually we became friends and hung out. One day she said that children with autism were God's punishment for immoral parents. I told her I had Asperger's syndrome. Walked away and never spoke to her again. Complete itch to wait staff and wanted to no tip them. A guy I was crushing on asked me out for dinner. I agreed to pick him up. We headed to the restaurant. Everything was good until the meal arrived. He asked for no gravy, but there was gravy on the plate. He calmly called the server over. She replied that she'd be right over. He proceeded to stand up and yell that she better get her dumb lazy ass over here right now. He began a very loud tirade about her lack of intelligence, her inability to do a simple job, etc, 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 peppered quite liberally with F-bombs, beaches, and the ultimate no-no in my opinion, CNT. I stood up and told him to shut his uneducated, insensitive mouth. I apologized to the server for her exposure to this childish excuse for a man and his toddler-like tantrum. I handed her $50, told him to find his own way home, and promptly turned and left. Talking crap about using coupons. This guy was very cute and quite the charmer, until he started talking about how only poor people use coupons and obviously you shouldn't be spending money on going out to eat if you have to use a coupon. I could be Bill Gates and I'm still going to go for the buy one get one free special. I didn't instantly lose it, and I still like her but we aren't speaking anymore. But I did instantly know that things were going to be sad from then on. She casually said she drank a beer on the drive up to my house when she visited. I knew right then and there she was an alcoholic. I kept talking over the next couple weeks to her, but layer by layer the alcoholism was revealed more and more and she went from this pure good-natured, kind, honest, beautiful and intelligent girl that I wanted to learn everything about to a completely different person. Someone who wasn't afraid to yell at me and cause a scene in public over nonsense. Someone who wasn't afraid to physically push me away when I was trying to comfort her. Someone who got drunk and drove with no shame. Someone who, when I explained to her I had the same problem not too long ago and I've seen this before, understood but largely ignored. She was funny in a way that made me feel like we had been friends for our entire lives. She was adoring like a puppy and she was so well spoken I was nervous talking to her, but only when she was sober. And I miss her terribly. After consulting some of the alcoholism boards on here, I found that apparently there's nothing I can do but get out of the way of this train wreck and distance myself. Hopefully she balances out and doesn't hit rock bottom too hard. I know it can be a process, but Jesus Christ, is this hard. Hey, so there's this guy I like and I need your help. When they made racist jokes about the race that I am a member of, in front of me, glad I caught it early though. I mentioned I was excited to see Corpse Bride since back then I was a huge fan of Tim Burton and stop motion animation. He went on a rant on how the movie was absolutely disgusting, promoted necrophilia, and if he actually gets together with that thing I'll have lost all faith in humanity. Like, okay, zombie chicks squick you out and you don't want to watch it, that's fine. No reason to act like people who like the movie are going to grave rob and duck corpses. Yeah. I realize Corpse Bride is probably an odd movie to get defensive of, and I'll be the first to admit it's not something most audiences would find amazing. It was more the implication that I wanted to bang a corpse because I found the premise enjoyable that made me nope out of that crush. This was like 20 years ago. We were talking provocatively on the phone, maybe pre-phonetics leading up to the act. I asked her where she was going to touch herself. She replied, "My cuter." One of the fastest losses of a boner up to that point in my life. Was an arsehole to the server in a nice restaurant and gave her a tip. She was eating a burrito and smeared beans all over my arm. Instant boner death. Smoke cigarettes. More of a personal thing as some people are okay with it, but I just find it so disgusting that it immediately turns me off completely. Told me I was the cute one in my friend group. His friend apparently agreed, and they snickered about my very sweet friends who were standing in line. Never had my opinion of someone drop so low so fast. Those girls were awesome. That guy and his friend were garbage. And I told them exactly that. Went to the movie without him. Told my friends he had to be somewhere else. Which was true. He had to be away from us. Duck that noise. She told me, "Oh baby, you feel so big." At which point I knew she was a lying liar who sits on a throne of lies. She told someone on stage during a live theater event to speak up. I joined a middle school play to spend more time with her. Backstage we were flirting and finally getting on the same page. When she says, "You know, you would be a lot cuter if you lost weight." She was right. But damn girl. He interrupted something I was saying during a perfectly lovely date because he had to tell me something serious. I was all, "Of course. Go ahead." That something serious turned out to be a monologue about his personal relationship with Jesus Christ. I interrupted him at about the 10-minute mark and let him know that we should just end things between us because we were incompatible. His whole face changed into something terrifying and he decided to spend the next half hour trying to save my soul from damnation. The night ended with me literally running down the street while he screamed about the power of Christ's everlasting love. We're both dudes, BTW, and we'd already had 6. Girl, I was having a summer fling with, beat her dog with a closed fist because that's how you discipline an animal. Immediately went from thinking wow I could see this turning into something serious, to wow I need to get the duck away from this woman. He was driving and threw a bottle out his window and said duck the environment. Hard pass. He told me he thought the earth was flat. Back when I was 18-19 I had a huge crush on a girl in my circle of friends. She was what I would call a free spirit, pro-earth, anti-government, peace-loving, pretty much a hippie. I had a very conservative religious upbringing, so looking back I'm sure it was her exotic personality that I was attracted to. One day our group of friends meets up for lunch. We finish and as I'm walking back to my car I look back and I see her and she's got her unfinished drink in her hand. I watched her scan the parking lot for a garbage can. Doesn't find one, then just sets the drink down in the parking lot and drives away. I fucking hate people who litter. So I go pick up her drink, throw it away myself. I realized that day her personality is as fake as my leather jacket I thought made me cool. TLDR, the itch-litted duck people who litter. I like this guy I made friends with in a study block last year a little, until he started grabbing my throat, because apparently he thought I would be into choking, squeezing my tits until they felt like they were gonna pop, and yanking my hair. He would do this in the middle of class randomly. Should have reported him but didn't want the drama. Reveal that he had no clue how these worked, and was also probably terrified of them. I am a giant prude on paper, but the minute I hear a guy slut shame a woman for having a lot of sexual partners, and claiming that she probably has a loose and floppy V, any attraction I had to him is gone. I am too old to mess with a man that knows less about how bodies function than my children. Made a tasteless joke about my cat. Haven't spoken to him in months and he texted me out of the blue yesterday. I'm black for reference. We were talking and somehow ended talking about dads and he asked me what my dad was like. I told him I hadn't seen my dad in 3 years and not much before that either, so I didn't really have much to say about him. He laughed and said that he could make so many jokes about that but decided not to. Right then I knew he was gonna be an asshole. And guess what? He was an asshole. His ex was in town and had just texted him. We weren't really together yet but in the makeout phase and he was visiting my place for the first time. He closed his phone after she texted him whatever and told me straight up, I'm still in love with my ex. She wants to see me now and I'm gonna go see her. I'm sorry. Big crush on him instantly over. I was like, welp, okay, good luck working it out. He seemed baffled and was like, are you really just okay with that? Almost hurt. I was so nonchalant wishing him luck. I said something like, well, I'm just glad this happened before we got really invested in each other and I want you to be happy. He looked at me like I was half crazy or half lying and secretly torn apart by it. But honestly I just know I'm a goddamn catch and anybody dumb enough to run back to an ex like a whipped dog isn't good enough for me anyway lol. What do you mean with cheating is not okay? Smoking. Trying to make me jealous. She was pretty drunk when I picked her up to hang out at like 6 PM. Then proceeded to sexually assault me when I refused to have a sex with her. I drove her home. She cried and apologized and said she drank too much trying to calm her nerves. Obviously I still broke it off, but still see her around campus. She stopped drinking and seems much happier now. In high school and was talking with a girl I kinda liked. Somehow the conversation went something like this. Just because someone has money does not mean that they are right or moral. Yes it does. That's why they are successful. Double quote. And instant dislike. Used Pacific instead of specific. I once had a crush on a dude in middle school. He wore glasses and was super nice. Then one Saturday morning, there was a knock on the door, and I opened it. He was standing there with his parents. Turns out they were Jehovah's Witnesses. Not really a crush but I met and was talking to this attractive guy at a bar. We were both out of town and in Nashville. I mentioned how much I like Nashville so far and he leaned in and said, I really like it too. It's a big city except without any NRS. I immediately walked away. Turned out that they were an anti-vaxxer.